like you drop.
Alright, good morning everybody, it's your boy Akin and welcome to this vlog. Here to talk about the AFC South Division and their grades for the 2017 NFL Draft. Go and start things off with the Indianapolis Colts. And I must say, overall, they had some great selections. Starting with their first round pick in Malik Hooker, the safety coming out of Ohio State. Now, I have to give them an A on their efforts for that particular selection. They did need to address the safety position, and they picked up an excellent athlete. Next up is Quincy Wilson, their second round pick coming out of Florida. Now, he definitely has some good ability. He's not as good as his teammates Taz Tabor, but I think this is a pretty good selection in the second round. In the third round, they picked up Terrell Gresham, the defensive end coming out of Ohio. He's coming off of a 16 tackle for loss season as well as 11.5 sacks this past season. In the fourth round, they had two picks. First, an offensive tackle in Zach Banner, which is not bad from USC, and then Marlon Mack, the running back out of South Florida, whom I think he will be a good future starter for at running back. He had a couple 1,000-yard seasons. For South Florida did a great job running the football effectively, and this is part of the reason why in Marlon Mack, as well as quarterback Quentin Flowers. Now, for Marlon Mack, he could be the successful for Frank Gore, who had a stellar career. In my opinion, I think he's a Hall of Famer coming towards the end of the season. Second, in the fourth round, they picked up Grover Stewart, the defensive tackle coming out of Albany State, which could be a good sleeper at DT. And Arthur Jones has not been really playing up to par since his big signing for the Indianapolis Colts. In the fifth round, they had two selections. First, in Nate Harrison, the cornerback coming out of Temple, which is not bad, and Anthony Walker, a great linebacker coming out of Northwestern, who had over 100+ tackle season, had a great year, and I think he will be a definite starter this upcoming season. Possibly. He's going to be trying out, but I believe that he should be a starter coming towards week 1 of this NFL season for 2017. Now, overall for the Colts, I'm actually going to give them an A- for, actually not an A-, but a B+. I'm not going to say they had the sexiest picks as far as the Quincy Wilson. I think he's a good stellar corner, not as good as his teammate Tabor, like I mentioned. I did like the Gresham selection as well as Marlon Mack and Anthony Walker. Great selections. I'm going to give them a B+. Next up, the Houston Texans. Let's tell you to talk about their picks. Actually, they had their first round selection with their 12th overall selection. They actually traded up to pick up Deshaun Watson coming out of Clemson. I think this was an interesting pickup as far as trading up to select Watson. I think he could have still been available when they needed him and later on, but I do understand, so they had to try to get their quarterback immediately. They no longer have Brock Osweiler. He is now with the Cleveland Browns. He was definitely a salary cap situation in which they had no faith in him even after just one season. So Tom Savage and Brandon Weeder was going to be duking out at quarterback, but it looks like Deshaun Watson can benefit right away. He does have some great players around him. In the second round, they picked up Zach Cunningham, the linebacker coming out of Vandy. He's actually coming off of a unanimous All-American season, and he would work well with Bernardrick McKinley and Brian Cushing. Me personally, I think he should be an outside linebacker, but a lot of people are looking at him as an inside linebacker. I think he needs a little bit more meat in his muscle just to become an inside linebacker, because he's a little bit lanky to play inside because of his height and weight. At 234 pounds, but I do understand that some people will think that Brian Cushing should be outside linebacker, and then Zach Cunningham should be the inside linebacker to be more effective as far as a linebacking core. In the third round, they went with Deontay Foreman, the running back coming out of Texas. Now, yes, they already had Lamar Miller as the starting running back, but he does need a backup who could run in between tackles with some speed and power. I do like Deontay Foreman. In the fourth round, they had two selections. First was Julian Davenport, a good offensive tackle coming out of Bucknell, as well as Carlos Watkins, a defensive tackle coming out of Clemson. This was a big pickup. Clemson did just win a national championship, and defensively, he actually had a good showing this past season. In the fifth round, they picked up Tristan DeKyle, the safety coming out of Oregon State. That was an okay pick. And Kyle Fuller, not relation to the other Fullers, the Fullers for the Chicago Bears, but Bear center. He's the center coming out of Baylor Bear. Not bad selection. Hopefully he will make the 53-man roster coming towards the beginning of the season. Now for the Houston Texans, I'm actually going to give them a good B for this one. I'm going to just give them a solid B for their efforts. Next up is the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, they did have some couple of great selections. With their first pick, they went with running back Leonard Fournette, 4th overall. They are in dire need for a stud at running back, and he should start right away as a rookie over T.J. Yeldon and company. Next up is in the second round, they picked up Cam Robinson out of Alabama to address the offensive line and help out Leonard Fournette and even protect Blake Bortles. I think these were two great selections. And the third one, they went with Dwayne Smoot, the defensive end coming out of Illinois. I think he's more of a 3-4 DE in my opinion. This was an okay selection. In the fourth round, they picked up D.D. Westbrook, the Blitnikoff Award winner, given to the nation's top wide receiver in 2016. Fifth round, Blair Brown. I think this kid could be a good sleeper entering this year because he is coming off of 128 tackles this past season, and I believe 10 plus tackles for loss. In the 7th round, that was their next selection. They actually had 2 picks in the 7th round, and they went with Marquez Williams, a fullback coming out of Miami of Ohio, and Jalen Myrick out of Minnesota, the cornerback. Now, overall for the Jacksonville Jaguars, I'm actually going to give them a B+. I did like their first 3 selections with Smoot, Cam, not Smoot, Cam Robinson, Leonard Fournette. Not the first 3 rounds, but I do like the D.D. Westbrook selection as well as the Blair Brown selection in the 5th round. Finally, the Tennessee Titans. I think they actually did the best out of the entire South Division. I'm going to give them a B+ as well. Now, I'm going to actually start off with, an A-. I'm sorry. I'm going to start off with their first round pick and Corey Davis. This was a reach in this one, but not too much of a reach. I actually like this selection. He should be the #1 receiver entering this year. They have high hopes, and they really need a #1 target for Marcus Mariota to throw to and not just depend on Delaney Walker. Next up is Audrey Jackson. He was the first round selection and pick number 18th overall. In the first round, they went with Audrey Jackson out of USC. Stellar athlete, played on both sides of the field, but he's better known defensively as a cornerback. In the 3rd round, that was their next selection. They went with Taiwan Taylor out of Western Kentucky. He's actually coming off of a 1,000-yard season, big year, and I think he could become a good receiver, add more competition in the receiving core. In the 3rd round, they went with Janu Smith, who could be a good future replacement for Delaney Walker. He's actually coming out of Florida International. I think he's definitely a receiver who could haul in some passes along with Taylor and Davis. 5th round, they went with J.M. Brown, the linebacker coming out of UCLA. That was a decent selection. 6th round, they went with Corey Levin out of Tennessee Chattanooga. Could be a sleeper in this one, as well as in the 7th round with 2 particular players, and actually all 3 of their players in the 7th round. Josh Caraway, he's an underrated outside linebacker coming out of TCU. Brad Seaton, I actually did the scout report on him, offensive tackle out of Villanueva, and Kalafani Muhammad, who could be a good backup running back for DeMarco Murray. He's actually the running back from Cal who could do it all, run and catch. He had to deal with some injuries and splitting some time, but I think this is a good running back overall, especially in the 7th round. They picked up some good, valuable picks in the 7th round, and I think one of the 3 can be a sleeper. Now, overall, like I said, I'm going to give them an A-. I really like their selections, including their 7th round picks and value picks. And I think they actually did the best out of all the teams in the AFC South Division. Now, the next time to catch you guys will be in just a couple minutes. I have one more blog to talk about, the AFC North. See you guys in a couple minutes. Thank you for watching this blog.